Out of all the Straw Hats in One Piece, Sanji has probably had the single greatest downfall post-time skip. It actually hurts my soul to have to say this because Sanji was my favorite character pre-time skip out of all the Straw Hats, and I felt like he was the character who I had the most in common with, and it almost felt as if he was my own personal self-insert. I mean, I loved his attitude, I loved his style, but most importantly, I loved the main thing that made him the character, which was his simpery. Obviously not. Which was his cooking. The main element that makes Sanji Sanji and the main thing that makes him the character that we all know and love is the role that cooking has played in his life and the role that cooking has played for the character. This was made abundantly clear during the Baratier arc. We saw Sanji develop a love and appreciation for food and cooking when he and Zeph almost starved to death to being the only survivors of a shipwreck. At this point, Sanji developed a love and admiration for cooking and a profound respect for food influenced every single element of his character. For example, the fact that Sanji only fights with his feet because he wants to reserve his hands for cooking is one of the most defining elements of the character. Even in the Baratier arc itself, the defining moments of that arc was Sanji being willing to feed the villains, despite them being the enemy, because he made a vow to himself to always cook and feed the hungry. When Sanji joins the Straw Hats and begins his journey, his goal is to find the All Blue, which is the part of the ocean where all the fish in the world are available, which allows him to cook any type of fish and any type of cuisine that he wants because of his profound love and respect for food. And imagine my chagrin where the main thing that makes Sanji Sanji post-time skip has been completely relegated to the background, where it's almost to the point that this has become like an inconsequential element of the character. The fact that nobody ever seems to talk about this is absolutely insane to me. Yes, of course, before somebody inevitably brings this up, Sanji being a simp and being a perv has always been a part of his character. I know that. That was a secondary or tangential element of his character that helps fill out the character's personality, but is not the main driving force for the character. I can use Zoro to further illustrate my point. Zoro's goal has always been to be the greatest swordsman. This arc really kicks off around the same time that Sanji's arc actually kicks off, which is when he is defeated by the greatest swordsman, Hawkeye's Mihawk. At that point, he vows to never be defeated again, cements his decision to join the Straw Hats and travel with them so that he can gain the necessary and relevant experience, build up his strength as a character for when he will inevitably verse Mihawk and defeat him at the end of the series. So Zoro being a swordsman is an integral part of his character. This is not some like side tangential thing. However, just like Sanji's perviness and his simpery, Zoro also has characteristics that help fill out his personality and can also serve as gags. For example, Zoro is always getting lost. That serves as a funny gag for the character. We have lots of silly, goofy moments when he does that. Along with that, Zoro loves drinking alcohol and getting drunk. See him drinking ridiculous amounts of alcohol throughout the series. But at no point do these secondary or tangential elements of the character overtake the main thing of the character. That is, his identity as a swordsman and his goal to become the greatest swordsman. It almost feels like post-time skip, particularly after Whole Cake, just had like a rewrite of Sanji's character. We got the backstory of him being sort of the unwanted child, coming from a family of emotionless cyborgs. But it seems like after Whole Cake, him being a chef, which was the main thing, became a negligible part of his character. Him being a simping pervert almost like overtook the fact that he was a chef, overtook this rich backstory of his love and respect for cooking, to the point where it's like almost every single time he's on screen, overdoing and dragging the gag of him being a pervert. And once again, to use Zoro as an example, imagine if post-time skip, let's say after Wano, the fact that Zoro was a swordsman and wanted to be the greatest swordsman and his identity as a swordsman became relegated to the background, and every time he's on screen, we just see him getting lost or him getting drunk, and we just keep dragging that gag over and over and over and over and over. I'd probably agree that that would be a massive downgrade. You probably wouldn't like Zoro as much anymore. It's unfortunate because everything that makes Sanji special almost feels like it's all being thrown away, and we've created this like caricature of the character. Again, it's unfortunate because pre-time skip, we see him cooking. It's cooking to bring happiness and joy to the Straw Hats, using cooking as some type of fighting style or technique, bringing up the fact that he is a chef constantly. Because we don't get that anymore, the character has become so dull, we have to just keep dragging the same boring joke instead of providing any substance to the character. It's doubly unfortunate. Sanji's goal of finding the All Blue has almost become completely discarded from the story. Again, I'm gonna keep comparing him to Zoro. Zoro's goal to be the greatest swordsman and his identity as a swordsman continues to come up throughout the story. Every single arc, Zoro fights other swordsmen. We see him develop as a swordsman, grow as a swordsman, develop new swordsmanship techniques, which is all meant to come into culmination his rematch against Mihawk. Majority of post-time skip, there is absolutely nothing that is building up Sanji's character the way that he was introduced and developed, building up to his ultimate goal of finding the All Blue. Even Even if Sanji were to find the all blue tomorrow, who cares? That has not played an important role in the story. A relevant part of his character for so long essentially become irrelevant. What's become doubly frustrating, the fact that with the introduction of Gear 5, we have a clear limitation, is that Gear 5 saps a lot of Luffy's energy, therefore he needs to constantly be eating. We see this all throughout Egghead, that he needs to constantly be eating food, maintain his energy, and use his strongest form, which is Gear 5. This is a perfect opportunity for Sanji to use his cooking skills, not only benefit the story and benefit the plot, to further contribute to his identity as a chef. Sanji constantly cooking will provide a perfect counterbalance for Luffy's drawback, which is the fact that he needs to constantly be eating food. With how goofy and wacky One Piece is, like there's no reason why Sanji can't be fighting like food people. Find a way to bring food into it, where he's fighting his matchup in every arc. Same way that Zoro always happens to be fighting a swordsman in every arc. No, this is my frustration with the character, and it's unfortunate again because Sanji used to be my favorite character and now he's one of my least favorite Straw Hats. For me, I'm done ranting. Of course, as always, let me know how y'all feel about this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you like or dislike the way Sanji's character is going and why? Of course, huge thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.